Duh.
Hey everyone, I'm Case, the only YouTuber you know who has the approval of the band Hoobastank. And speaking of bands and music, ladies and gentlemen, we're reviewing MID-chael today, of course, about Michael Jackson. A lot of thoughts on this film, First things first, before we get into all that, here's how this review is going to work. We're going to discuss the movie. We're going to talk about the good things about the movie, the bad things about the movie, have some notes then, and then we're going to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 will be of similar quality to stepping on a Lego brick, and 10 will be the Citizen Kane of musical biopics, okay? It's also important to note that this is not normally how I film and not where I film, because usually I'm at home and I'm actually on a weekend trip, and I figured, you know what, because of that I wasn't going to be able to get a video out last week, so I'm going to film this video because I was planning on going to the theater anyways, seeing this, so great stuff. But that being said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive right in. Let's start with the good stuff. First thing I gotta say about this film, the acting and the actors, they're all very good, okay? Like the entire cast, I think was cast very well. They all act very, very well. And Jafar Jackson really blew me away because, you know, first watching it, you're like, yeah, this guy's not actually Michael Jackson, okay? It's obvious, it's apparent. But then as I was watching the movie, I had to remind myself about halfway through that, oh yeah, that's right, this is not actually Michael Jackson, because he does such a great job. So gotta give a lot of credit to that. He talks, sounds just like Michael Jackson. The makeup and prosthetics, which are great in this film, make him look just like Michael Jackson. He's also, by the way, in case you don't know this, I believe Michael Jackson's nephew is Jafar Jackson, and so he's got a lot of great resources and things he could use to help with the part, which clearly shines through. He does a fantastic knockout job, and he just, like, very, very good. He's so convincing as Michael, and I love seeing that. That is fantastic. Also, there was an unexpected cameo that I was not expecting whatsoever by Mike Myers, and it's weird how he keeps showing up in these musical biopics. He's also in Bohemian Rhapsody, where he played one of like Queen's like publisher people or whatever, and he plays a very similar role in this film, but completely different character. And I actually almost didn't notice it was him at first, and then I'm watching it more, I'm like, wait a minute, that guy looks familiar. It's Mike Myers. He just has a lot of makeup on. And so that's crazy to see. And so I got, you know, point that out because I think that's really, really fun. Unfortunately, that ends the good section of this review. Now, in case you have not been seeing other people talk about the film, it's got problems, okay? Big problems. And those are the problems I'm going to talk about right next. So I almost don't know where to begin with the problems, because there's some big problems and then there's some more like smaller, like for example, all of his animals were CGI, and you know Michael Jackson's known for having a lot of exotic animal pets, and so them being CGI is not a big deal, except for the fact that they looked CGI. That's kind of the thing. If I could not tell they're CGI, then it's fine. Like I think it was Bubbles, the name of his monkey, shows up, and I could just, it's CG, and I'm like, that, it looks almost like bad AI, but I don't think it's AI. I think it's actual CGI. It's just very, I don't know, it looks very AI-like, and I don't really like it. So that was not great. The giraffe is also CGI. The llama might have been real. I'm not entirely sure. So I'll also point out too, I like Michael Jackson. Anyone with functioning ears should like Michael Jackson, if you ask me, okay? I'm not, however, a Michael Jackson stan, okay? I don't listen to him all the time. I may listen to him on occasion, but the way I see it, his music's kind of overplayed at this point. So not that it's bad or that, you know, he does not have any skill, because he's incredibly skilled and talented, but I kind of get tired of Michael Jackson, not going to lie. So going to this film, I was kind of like, whatever, so I haven't really done a whole lot of deep diving in history into Michael Jackson and stuff. But I do know that they tee up this really big moment where he's making Escape, which is his big solo album that he does, the one right before Thriller, right? And they're teeing up like this is Michael's first solo album, and it's not, because he's been doing solo albums since he was a child. And maybe this is the first one he had like control over in some regard, but the way they talk about it early in the film makes it sound like this is Michael's first solo album, and it's not. So I at least know that, and I'm sure there's a few other timeline tampering shenanigans in there. Every biopic does that, and it's kind of excusable to me, because usually if you're just telling the straight story of someone's life, in order to make it a good movie, you have to just focus on certain things and ignore others. And that brings me to actually my second bad thing, which is that they ignore like just about all of Michael Jackson's controversy straight up. They touch on it a little bit, certain areas, but they just really like don't go anywhere with it, and that stinks, because I think this film really, if you look at Michael Jackson's life, it should be a tragedy, not going to lie. And it's a real shame what happened to Michael Jackson and everything like that. Both from how he was treated as a child and how abusive his dad was toward him and his brothers to try to get them to, you know, be this band and stuff like that, and how controlling he is. And his dad is the villain of this film, which makes sense, I think. But you go from that, and then Michael, you know, he's got self-image issues also because of, you know, his dad and things like that. So he does the plastic surgeries and things like that. We see that happening. He gets at least 2 nose jobs in this film, and then for the last finale, we see him, he's full bad mode, so his skin is bleached, he's got a lot of work done on his face. Still dancing like a champ, though. But regardless, they kind of brush over a lot of that stuff. They reference his Jehovah's Witness background, because Michael Jackson was a Jehovah's Witness. He got, like, I forget what it's called, but it was when you get blacklisted from Jehovah's Witness. He had that happen to him. I think it was over the Thriller music video, and they don't even talk about that at all either. And then they also briefly brush on, because they do have the point when he's doing the Pepsi commercial, his hair gets all burned up. They brush on the fact that he's going to be taking painkillers, but they don't actually bring that idea to its logical conclusion, which unfortunately the logical conclusion also concluded the life of Michael Jackson. So that's not fun, but you need the tragedy in order to make it a more impactful film. That's kind of the thing. And they really remove so much of the natural friction in Michael Jackson's life that could have helped it be so much better. Also, I didn't even bring up the Neverland Mansion stuff, okay? But the film didn't either, and I think they really, I won't say they should have. That almost sounds kind of like mean-spirited, I feel like. But talking about Michael Jackson, one of the biggest things that shadowed him in his later life was that controversy about the Neverland Mansion stuff. So, I mean, it's got to be mentioned, I feel like, in the Michael Jackson conversation. So, I don't know, it feels like they brush over some. But the weird thing is this, they spend so much time about Michael Jackson's fixation with Peter Pan and Neverland, and they completely don't talk about the mansion. And I just think it's so weird, because they should, I think. But anyways, it's very odd. Now, I will say this. If you are just the most biggest Michael Jackson stan, okay, or you're like, oh, he sing good, he dance good, okay, I mean, he does do that, that is 100% true, then I can see people enjoying this movie for that, okay, and I did not enjoy the movie. I just did not think it was a good movie, we'll put it like that. I did not think it was a good movie, but I was at least not bored during the film, so I gotta give it a little bit of a benefit of the doubt for that. Again, it was all right. It wasn't like a terrible film or anything. It just, I feel like when you're talking about Michael Jackson's life, there are certain things you think of when you think of Michael Jackson, okay? Because he's a very controversial figure for many reasons, and they just like to glaze over all of that. And so there's a bit of maybe more of a nitpick for me, but I feel like it comes to a biopic. I like when they have some type of original recordings for some of the songs. This film didn't have any of that. They just kind of copied and pasted all of the tracks just from Michael Jackson's stuff. And I see why they would do that, but personally, I favor when you have, even if it's not the actor playing the character, but just someone new coming in and voicing to do new recordings. I think that's really, really important, and I really, really prefer that, honestly. Because when you're just using the same tracks that have already been recorded and released, it feels kind of cheap, which is also weird because it probably is more expensive, because getting the rights to certain tracks is not cheap. But for some reason, it feels cheaper. So I don't know what that is, but I guess it just, I don't know. My favorite biopics, I'll just key you in on this, they mostly had new recordings or new versions made, or just heavily edited versions of previously existing music by the artists, okay? I think specifically my 2 favorite ones, of course, are Better Man and Rocket Man, which they're with a man at the end, I just realized. That's interesting. But regardless, they both had, if not the actor who was, playing the main character recording them, they had someone who sounded very similar to that actor making recordings. And they didn't do any of that in this film, though it's not that I noticed or knew of. It all just sounded to me like they recorded tracks, as far as I'm aware. And so, I kind of mentioned this before too, and we're going to spend a little more time talking about it. But what happens is this, the way the film ends, okay, is Michael's dad, Joseph Jackson, is the main antagonist of this film, okay? And what happens is this, he basically peer pressures Michael into doing one more tour with his brothers, and then he starts announcing, hey, we're going to do more tours and stuff, because he's very abusive and he wants the money and the power and stuff over Michael, because Michael's uber successful. So at the end of the last show, he announces, hey, this is the last Jackson 5 show, last tour, farewell, see you everybody. And he makes a big deal earlier in the film about just like sticking to his dad or whatever his dad says, but he keeps chickening out and he keeps caving to his dad because, is the power and stuff he has over him. Feels kind of unsatisfying because he never actually does say it to his face. He just kind of says it to the crowd and then just starts ignoring his dad. And then we just jump to 1988 after Bad releases, and we see that. And that's the other thing too, because Michael Jackson, like, his Thriller and Bad were his 2 big albums, right? However, like, he still had a lot of really successful stuff and a lot of big stuff, and I feel like the Michael Jackson story is not fully told with that. Which also brings me to the absolute worst part of the film, which is the literal ending, which he does this performance of Bad, okay? It's a good performance. Jafar kills it, okay? And then just black slide with text that says, his story continues, roll credits. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I feel like there almost needs to be a sequel, but if the movie was better, we wouldn't need a sequel, I think. So I don't know, it's a mess. Now, I heard that test audiences did not like the original cut that they had for this film, and what they ended up doing was changing it, because I guess the original cut actually took it deeper into the end of his life, to that kind of thing, and they didn't like that, so they just haphazardly threw this together. I would have much rather have a very somber ending to this film, because like I said, Michael Jackson's life was very, very tragic if you just sit and think about it and go through what he went through. Some of it is self-inflicted, some of it not. I mean, with his childhood and being in the spotlight and the stardom and how his dad treated him, yeah, you can probably, you know, connect the dots back to his dad and all that stuff. But regardless, it's still just, we're just missing so much, and it's just a super, like, for me at least, unsatisfying biopic, because again, I want to see the tragedy, I want to see what happens. Even Bohemian Rhapsody, which gets a lot of crap, at least that goes into Freddie Mercury's hardcore, you know, partying and drug use and his AIDS that he contracts, and so we kind of see that now. You can debate Bohemian Rhapsody, that's another video, honestly, in and of itself. But regardless, in that one, they at least don't shy away from showing the consequences of Freddie's actions and where it kind of leads him to. And then he's kind of got to, in a way, work past it, make up for it in some way, shape, or form. Whereas Michael Jackson, I mean, he faces no consequences, really, because they just don't talk about the controversy about his life at all. It's just Michael's protagonist, dad is bad guy, and he's trying to get out of the rule of bad guy daddy, okay? And it's weird. Now, as far as notes go, we got two notes I'm gonna talk about really quick. For one, I don't know if it's just the theater I was at, but there seemed to be a lot of noise in the sound mix. I don't know if it's the mixing was bad or my theater was just not great, because there would be times where there was dialogue going on while there was like a bunch of like crowd noise and stuff too. And I couldn't understand what was being said. And I don't think it was like important dialogue, but it still was very, very not good in that regard. So I don't know if that's a film mixing thing or if that's a theater thing. I really don't know, but I can tell you that it was kind of confusing. So I'm not going to hold that against the film, because I don't know that I can hold that against the film exactly. Another note I have too, so one of my favorite bands, not maybe like favorite bands, but a band I really do quite enjoy is Toto.
I bless the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time.
I've seen Toto in concert, and they did a short little thing, because I don't know if you're aware of this. The band Toto, they are incredibly talented musicians, like super talented. And I don't know if it was the entire band or just some of the guys from the band actually worked as session musicians on Michael Jackson's Thriller album, which is also really, really awesome. And they don't talk about that. I don't think they really need to talk about that in this film. But as someone who likes Toto, I just don't want to bring that up. But to make things even more exciting, one of the big musical numbers in this film is the song Human Nature from the Thriller album. And one of the guys from Toto, who I don't know his name off the top of my head, but here's a picture and his name, if I remember to put that in post. Yeah, he wrote that song, and so I thought that was really, really interesting. They use it in a really interesting way, but when he actually talked about the story, the Toto guy, what he says is basically, it's a song that he wrote as a result to his daughter getting bullied in school. And I think that really brings, you know, a whole lot of like meaning and heart to the song. And not really that it affects anything in the film, but I just think that story needs to be told, because I think it's a really, really good story, and it makes me enjoy that song a lot more. And so, anyways, that's kind of that. But ladies and gentlemen, you guys want to get down to business, we got to give this film a rating, and again, from 1 to 10. So I'm gonna give this film a 5 out of 10, because like I said, you know, it was spectacle. I was not bored. I thought it was, you know, a decent watch. But of course, as someone who knows about Michael Jackson, I've just kind of left very unsatisfied in that regard. So, I mean, if it weren't for Jafar and how good he did in the role, I'd probably give it much lower, to be quite honest, because Jafar's acting was great. Again, I had to remind myself that he was not Michael Jackson, and his dancing was also, like, perfect, as far as I could tell. And so, a lot of credit toward that, and so, if it weren't really for that, it'd probably be a lot lower. So, Jafar is the one saving grace of this film, if you ask me. But, those are my thoughts on Michael, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys thought. What's your favorite Michael Jackson song, okay? What song do you like to go, hee hee, shalom, to? I'd love to know that in the comments. But if you like this video, drop a like. And if you want to see more reviews similar to this, hit that subscribe button. And when I say similar to this, I mean not in my car. I mean actually back home by my computer when I usually do it. But more videos with this same format. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And that's going to wrap things up for me, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, Jesus loves you. I am K Swope, and I will see you in the next one. Let's talk about the way it making me feel. In the words of Michael Jackson, it's bad. This film was not a thriller.